All right, so we got over 3.3 million views for our client on one specific video. And today I'm going to show you the full breakdown of that and how we actually did that, how we broke the video down, how we thought about it, what our thought process was, and give you the replicable formula that you need if you're a struggling creator with a mission-driven voice like these guys were, to be able to break down these videos one by one. It works with any video. So I'm going to show you guys really quickly. Let's just hop over here. 71 views is what this video had. Now, this was a long form video. It was 35 minutes long. And we wound up getting a moment out of this video, which happened to be right in here, right in this 8-minute mark. And we turned this into a 3.1 million view short, which resulted in this client actually going from 5,000 subscribers to 18,000 subscribers in the blink of an eye. So let's hop over. I'm going to show you exactly how we did this. First off, we got to realize a couple different things about social media. People's attention. We got to grab their attention. And so the first thing we have to do is actually identify the payoff in a piece of content. So identifying the payoff is, before we even create the reel, we actually determine the moment that will emotionally resonate with viewers and make them feel something very strongly. So you gotta figure out what that is. That's what our world-class creative directors are trained to do. But if you have to do this on your own, there's a few different things. This specific payoff in this reel was a gets owned moment. Okay, so the school board denied a woman the right to pray for the public schools, but the crowd prayed anyway. And so it was kind of a the bad guy gets owned type of moment. And so that was what the creative director on this actual reel sought out, pulled that out, and then reverse engineered the hook. And I'm going to show you how that was done here in a second. This creates conflict, defiance, and resolution. So the key elements that keep people engaged in any reel. Those are the three key elements that we've found that keep people engaged across the board. This works every single time. And by identifying the payoff first, we ensure that every other element in the reel is built around that to maximize the viewer retention and emotional engagement. So that's what a lot of people get wrong, is you actually have to do this part first, and then you've got to get all the rest of the parts that are going to be in the rest of this video right, and you have a perfect reel that's going to hit millions of views almost every time on autopilot. It literally becomes swinging the bat at that point. This stuff just works so well that I'm sharing it with you guys. So reverse engineering the hook is next. Once we've actually identified that payoff moment, we've got to then make a hook that accompanies that. So the way that we do this is, once we know what's going to be at the end of the reel to reward the viewer, then we come up with the hook. So that keeps the viewer and opens a loop that is then rewarded at the end of the video. So here's what we did for this exact one. When this woman decided to pray at a school board meeting, the school board chair told her she's not allowed to, but he wasn't ready for what happened next. So you can say that creates an open loop, human psychology, and it keeps people engaged. They have to know what's going to happen, right? They're like, wow, that's a pretty bold thing to do, to deny someone the right to pray. I want to see what's going to happen, because you're hoping that something good happens. And so it's feeding that curiosity. We're naturally curious creatures as human beings. It creates conflict. So there's conflict. Anytime there's conflict or drama, some type of urgency, we want to create that in a reel, and that's what gets these views, this stuff. So leaving the loop open, okay, was the part where it says, but he wasn't ready for what happened next. You don't know what happened next, and that's the part that evokes curiosity. So it emotionally charges the audience, and many Christians feel strongly about being able to pray, right? So making them invested in the outcome. And that's where we went and did this specifically for this audience, based on who this audience is and what their message is, what they're trying to get across to the world with their message, right? So next, simple, craft the body. Once you've identified the payoff and the hook, the middle part actually becomes extremely easy. But you still can't get this part wrong, because this is where we build retention. So during the middle part, we want to make sure that we trim anything that's not necessary to the storyline. And we want to build perfectly to get to that payoff. So the hook introduces the payoff, and then we build, okay? And then you get to the payoff, and that's what we're doing in the middle. So every second matters, okay? There was no dead space, and we definitely avoided long explanations, early payoffs, and then obviously, once you've got all those pieces in place, now it's time for the most important piece, which is the payoff. So in order to actually get someone to engage with the reel, to like the reel, to share the reel, to watch it again, watch it multiple times so that you have over 100% engagement rate, what you have to do is pay off your reel. From what you said in the beginning, you can't lie to people. So you've got to create the payoff, find the payoff, create the hook, and then you make sure you pay the reel off. So this is how we structured this one specifically. Obviously, the denial escalates. So the school board firmly refuses the prayer right at the beginning. and he's kind of the villain, right? We got a villain in the story. Then the woman starts praying anyway, okay? Then the board orders the officers to remove the people that start praying with the woman, okay? The crowd erupts and the prayers get louder, and that's your moment when the school board completely loses control. You can see that the cops are kind of even meandering around. They're not sure what to do. I'll leave a link to the video if you haven't seen the video, but that's what happens. And so nearly the last full quarter of the reel was the payoff. And so that was really important that we made it that way. We built that timeline perfectly for that. So here's why it worked. We're going to go over this, okay? It created a strong emotional response of outrage, defiance, and triumph that makes people want to comment and share. There's a clear good versus evil dynamic, and it's easy for viewers to pick a side and engage in the discussion, in the comments, in the shares. You guys can go check out the comment section on this too. It blew up. And then the final optimization and execution of this was after structuring this reel, we actually made strategic optimizations to maximize virality. Now, what I mean by that is the title overlay. Okay, so they tried to stop her from praying, but the crowd wasn't having it. The way that we did that in the beginning, if you watch the reel, was very specific to add to the emotional evocation that we were trying to get from the audience, and that reinforces the conflict. Okay, and then we encourage people to watch to the end of the video. Captions and visual emphasis. So the way that this was edited is also extremely important. The pacing and everything is very important. That's a whole other video that we could make. Highlighted keywords like not permitted, okay, if you watch it again, to reinforce the injustice. And then the thumbnail choice obviously does matter some on Reels, not as much because it's an organic way to reach audience members. So most people are seeing this from a For You page, if you will. And then we selected a frame where the woman is mid-prayer and the board members are reacting for the thumbnail, okay? This all teases the drama that's going to happen in the reel. It's very important that we find these moments that are going to build the human curiosity and our need for drama, right? Because that's what hooks people. We got to hook them. And literally, if you think about it like a hook, like a fish hook, right? You got to hook them and then you pull them, right? And then right at the end is the payoff when you reel that big fish in. And that's exactly what we're doing. So here's the key takeaways to this. And you can do this every single time with literally any reel. This stuff works. Start with the payoff. Okay, what's the most engaging moment of the video? And then build the story around that, right? So then we got to do the hook with conflict. So we open the loop so that people keep watching. Then you keep it tight. So no extra fluff. Every second should drive the story forward. Then we're obviously going to deliver an emotional climax to the story where the viewer should feel something at the end. We've got to craft an emotion with this stuff, right? The viewer should feel what they're feeling at the end of the video, or what the purpose was for them to feel. And then optimize for engagement, okay? And that's pretty basic stuff. Thumbnails, captions, and the titles. That stuff anybody can get right. But by mastering these principles, you're going to be able to make this stuff go viral every time. And if this is something that you want our team to actually do, you can take a look at the description. Otherwise, feel free to use this, take it, and get millions of views on your videos. We'll talk to you on the next one.